All right, what's going on, Ish? How you doing?
I'm good, man.
Good.
What's
Okay.
up?
So what you been up to since basketball kind of got put out of halt due to COVID-19?
For the most part, just doing my best to try to stay in shape. It's the holy month of Ramadan, so I've been fasting. Besides that, just a lot of, jump roping, a lot of conditioning.
Yeah, for sure. And then let's trace it back to when you first heard about the news that COVID-19 and the whole NBA suspension. So where were you when you found out that news? Where you guys were? I believe you guys were in Windy City with Long Island, right?
Exactly. We were in Chicago. We were getting ready to play the next night, I think. We had practice the same day that we had found out the news, and it was crazy. Honestly, I was getting something to eat with a couple of my teammates, and then boom, the news just broke out.
And then what was your first reaction to it?
Like, nah, this can't be serious.
Yeah.
It can't be serious. This got to be a joke. And then after a while, me and my teammates realized it wasn't a joke once we saw all the tweets and stuff.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. And then let's trace back a little bit to kind of your growing up days when you were playing AAU ball for the New Jersey Roadrunners. So obviously, along with you, a couple other notable alumni include Al Harrington, Kyrie Irving, Randy Foye. So when you were playing with them, did any of those guys stop by or kind of mentor you guys at all?
I started playing basketball late when I first came to New Jersey around the age like 11, 12. I didn't start playing until like ninth grade. So by that time, I think Kyrie was still in high school, but AAU-wise, he was done. So I didn't really see him. With Randy, he went to the same high school as me, same high school coaches. So, that's still kind of like family. So whenever I was there, he would say what's up and he would stop by.
And then you and Randy Foye actually have an interesting connection. Both of you guys played with the Nets and been a part of the Nets organization. So have you guys ever traded stories about talking about Nets and stuff?
Not yet. We have to, he's a real busy guy. So I haven't really had a chance to sit down and have that conversation with him. But, we still keep in contact with the group chat that with all our high school teammates and his high school teammates.
Mm-hmm. And then after you played AAU ball and you graduated high school and everything, you went to Seton Hall. So first, can you just talk about kind of your 4 years there, what you learned, what you experienced? And you were part of Seton Hall when they were starting to begin rising up in the popularity ranks nationwide.
Yeah. So those 4 years at Seton Hall definitely molded me, made me a better basketball player and just an overall better person. So, I thank Coach Willard and, the Seton Hall family and all that for that. But like you said, that freshman class, me, Isaiah Whitehead, and Angel Delgado, Desi Rodriguez, Kadeen Carrington, Michael Enzies, just to name a few of us, came in and changed the culture. The school haven't won a championship since, I think, I don't even know when, before we came. I think it was 20 years before we won the Big East chip. And, once we won that, the whole culture just changed. Recruits wanted to start coming. It was Seton Hall basketball was popular again.
And then could you describe that type of culture? Like what makes Seton Hall's culture different from like other schools, especially with New Jersey, because with Seton Hall, you think of other popular schools such as Rutgers who are on the rise doing basketball programs. So at least during your time, what was that kind of culture like?
Believe it or not, even though Seton Hall is a small school, there's plenty of fans all over the world. So whenever I would go to different places and I would meet people from Seton who went to Seton Hall, they would say, "Oh, aren't you Ismael Sanogo playing on the basketball team?" I was like, "Yeah, wow, that's really like inspiring that there's so many fans around it, and who wouldn't want to be a part of that culture?"
Yeah, that's great. And then obviously, like I mentioned earlier, Seton Hall's been rising. They got a couple transfers this past summer. So what do you think about kind of these players considering Seton Hall now and transferring there and kind of building that basketball program as possibly New Jersey's top basketball college program?
Yeah. Like I said, my freshman class came in and brought a different, culture, and I think the new guys like Miles Powell, Sandro Mamu, Miles Care, all those guys, they brought a whole different swagger to the Seton Hall that is appealing to the younger generation, and they did a good job of winning and keeping the Hall on map and just boosting the overall culture of the whole swagger of the school.
That's cool. And then after Seton Hall, you signed with Long Island. Can you talk about that type of business, how it went when you signed with the Long Island Nets and everything?
Oh man, yeah, that was actually crazy because after college, I didn't have I didn't have any NBA workouts set up. So I was kind of in limbo for 3-4 months, expecting something that never came. So honestly, if I'm being honest, I was almost on the verge to stop playing basketball because I'm like, oh, there's nothing for me to do. There's no one calling me up, and right before I was about to just stop, I got a call from the former head coach of the LI Nets, Will Weaver, and he basically gave me an opportunity, and I just took it and ran with it.
That's great. And then what was your first reaction when you kind of got to Long Island, you got things on the roll, and kind of went from being a collegiate athlete to a professional athlete, that type of mindset?
My mindset is, the same mindset wherever I go. Just try to outwork everybody. Just make sure I'm vocal, I'm loud, and I'm just active. So the coaches are like, oh, this kid, he's here. We notice him. He's out here doing something.
That's perfect. And then after your first year with Long Island, you got cut and eventually brought back, and being the only player from those two teams from season before and this season. Yeah. So kind of what were the differences that you spotted with the two teams in that span? I know I asked you during the season, you said that there wasn't that much difference between the two, but kind of with the season now concluded and you kind of got a good grasp of, okay, this is what the season held. Do you spot any differences at all?
For sure. I would say the pace at what we played my rookie year was much faster than the pace we played my second season. And I would say that was because we had a lot of older guys my rookie season. We had a lot of vets on the team who've been here, who played pro ball before, as opposed to this past year, we had a lot of rookies. I think there were only like 2 or 3 vets on the team, with me included. So, yeah, and that plays a big factor in the team plays.
That's good. And then can you just talk a little about how you dealt with kind of getting cut and then kind of just that mindset of staying ready, kind of being woke for the next opportunity, and kind of just that overall aspect?
Honestly, it was kind of a wake-up call that I wasn't going as hard as I should. And, the results, I mean, if you put the work in, the results will show. And obviously, I didn't put enough work in to the point where I could keep my spot. But knowing, with being the person that I am, I'm always going to work hard. I never have a defeated mindset. So whether it was the LI Nets calling me back, I knew I was going to be able to get back on the court somehow.
Then you also hold a pretty unique perspective and an experience that most NBA players and G League players don't hold. You had a run-in with the Basketball Africa League back when they did the tryouts in Barclays Center. So can you talk about kind of what scouts were there and your thoughts on kind of the idea of launching that program, since you are also a native of Africa as well?
I mean, first of all, the NBA did a great job of bringing out people that were important. They treated it as if it was an NBA event, which it was. It was Luol Deng, a lot of Hall of Famers there, a lot of big names there. And, the play and the way it was set up was just amazing. They did a great job of, having the games organized and having the coaches speak to us.
And then what do you think the kind of the potential and the ceiling is for this league?
With a lot of players in the NBA being from Africa, like Pascal Siakam, Joel Embiid, just to name a few, Africa is like kind of a gold mine for basketball. So with the NBA starting that up over there, we should expect to see, more superstars from Africa. So,
for sure.
Yeah, being a native Africa is real good that they're, bringing that the American NBA culture over there.
And then before we hopped on this call as well, you mentioned that you wanted to talk about a story that could probably potentially catch a lot of people's ears and eyes. So do you want to mention that now? Kind of what was the story that you wanted to mention?
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't usually I keep everything to myself, and I think I finally gotten over it. I think I can share this with people now. But 2005, first of all, I wasn't born in the United States. I came here at the age of 4 with my grandmother, who, when I came, she was killed and lost all my papers, my passport, my green card, all that stuff was stolen from her when it was killed. So I was in America, nameless, paperless, and, you know, basically was a nobody, no name in America at the age of 4, you know. But all that got resolved. I moved to New Orleans straight from Africa, came to New Orleans and stayed there for about 5 years until I was about 9. And then Hurricane Katrina hit and everything was, you know, just thrown out of whack. I remember vividly, we weren't going to leave because hurricanes were just so natural in New Orleans. We've seen them before. But our neighbors told us to get out, and luckily for us, we left the day before. But the aftermath was crazy. We lost everything, family, money, you know, everything. Friends were gone, and it was just like I had to get up and start over. So I was homeless for a while in Texas before my family was relocated to Chicago, where I stayed there for 2 years, you know, dealt with a lot of the gun violence in Chicago. And after that, my parents couldn't do that no more. We had to move to Newark, New Jersey, which isn't, you know, the best city in the world, but, you know, helped mold me into the person I am. And basically, the overall message is no matter how tough things get, you know, you can't stop fighting. You cannot stop fighting. My parents didn't stop fighting and gave me an opportunity to play basketball. And then, you know, no matter what happens, just keep fighting. And, you know, whatever you want, you can achieve. So,
well, first, that's truly inspirational what you went through and everything like that. Obviously, me and you, we've known each other for some time, and I haven't heard that story until you told it just now. And first hearing that, like that, it makes sense. Like I was just like, wow, that's a truly inspirational story. I'm glad you shared that. Just what your future holds. You know, kind of any avenues that you're going to take as of now, or you kind of just one of those guys that take everything day by day.
I have a plan, you know. I want to obviously play in the NBA for the Brooklyn Nets. So, you know, I'm going to work to, you know, increase my skill level and increase my athleticism, just increase just make my game better overall. And, you know, I gave myself a time limit to do that. And I think, you know, just to work my tail off. That's the only plan I have, honestly, and just see where that takes me.
And then what kind of basketball aspects are you working on to improve your game? Is it more shooting, driving, post moves, three-point shooting?
Right now, I'd be considered a 3 and D guy. So I want to keep those two parts of my game strong. So I'm putting up my shots every day, and I'm working on my body to become a better defender. But now I feel like I need to become more of a attacking wing. So a lot of ball handling, a lot of working off pick and rolls, a lot of catch and shoot, you know, stuff like that.
That's perfect. That's good, man. And then how would you grade Long Island season, being the guy, like I said before, being the only one from last season's team and now this season's team? You've got a well-rounded kind of experience of those two teams and the organization. So how would you kind of grade it?
For this past year, if I'm being honest, I graded a C+ because I felt like we were a better team than what we portrayed. I felt like we had a lot of talent, and you know, some days talent just isn't enough. So I would say a C because we could have been better, but we faced a lot of adversities and we overcame those.
That's good, man. And hey, I appreciate you taking some time out of your night to hop on and talk with me. Really appreciate it. And all the best moving forward, man. Keep in touch.
Appreciate it. Yep.